Final segment of our program, the platform today, as we continue our conversation with ClementChea. And ClementChea has been a very outstanding Bahamian, working very hard in our country and has some very good clients. And one of the clients that he has is Peter Nygaard, and he's very disturbed on the negative publicity that he himself received, and so that is why he's here today. And there are many Bahamians who are distressed about these things, that young Bahamians are being used to bring this level of harm and hurt to residents of the Bahamas. And there's a need to stop it.
Yes, definitely. First of all, like I said earlier, I think maybe the majority of the persons in this country really are just tired of it. Hearing the names, hearing the allegations, the mudslinging. I think it's a major distraction from so many other issues in this country that needs to be addressed. And to be honest, there's a lot of those issues that he would like to address himself, because it comes under the line of poverty and social ills, of which he's been a big contributor to. Mm-hmm. So and it makes him wonder sometimes: is it even worth it? I feel as if I'm just being taken for granted, and so I feel as if the people themselves are just become overwhelmed, and I think they just need something new to go with. I mean, they just could it stop now?
Peter Nygaard must be very tired of this because he's been fighting this battle for a long time. He has to be in love with the Bahamas and his property at Lyford Key, because if he wasn't, he probably would have given up a long time ago, because he has the means but he has homes around the world.
Yes, definitely. Well, he has great temperament. He should have been a doctor, because he has a lot of patience. That's what I always tell him. I said, you should have been a doctor, because you got plenty of patience. Because I think I would have thrown in the towel and said, the hell with it. Because it is very, very stressful. It's painful. It's hurtful. But he's mentally, he's very strong. Physically, he's very strong. He has this routine that he does at his office in Canada. In his back office, every time he walks into his back office, when he comes out of his office, he has a bar above his door, and every time he comes out, he does 20 chin-ups. And that's a routine he does. If he goes through that door 10 times a day, he does 20 chin-ups. And you could see he's physically prepared. So I think he's been wearing this battle very well. It has been a battle, and it's a battle that I know he wants to win desperately, to get it all behind him. Not to say that, oh, I won, I told you so, but I think he just wants to get it over and done with, because it's been dragging on too long.
Yeah, the first battle had to do with access to his land,
yes,
just to get to his property.
Yes.
There were barriers put up by his neighbor, yeah, to stop him from getting to his property.
Yeah,
that was a battle that he had to win.
And from what I'm not so much certain about the size, but from I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was like 15, 20 feet.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the argument really started over at 15 to 20 foot easement, I think it was.
Right.
And when I first got into the store, I was reading, I'm like, are you serious? You guys these are 2 billionaires now. This before I even got to know him. And I'm like, are you seriously telling me now you're going to go to a war over 15, 20 foot easement? Then when the story really got to go in, oh, it's all now about the loudspeakers and the army speakers. Now it's all about the music. Now it's all about the traffic. It's all about the kind of people that's there. Now everything comes to light. Okay, I see what's going on here.
Because one neighbor wanted to chase him away.
Yeah.
And so he couldn't get to his property because they blocked the easement getting his staff to the property. So there had to be a take court action
to remove it.
To remove that.
Yes.
And then the neighbor decided, well, you know, I don't like your guests, and so we're going to have these huge speakers to disturb,
to drown out
whatever you're doing,
right.
and to disturb you, and so that became unbearable. And so that was another action.
And even speaking along the lines of legality, those speakers were illegal.
Right.
Those speakers are illegal. Those are army, military type speakers, from what I was told. Those are illegal. So I mean, here we have now a gentleman who want to be spiteful and vindictive. You're using illegal equipment that's not legal in the Bahamas to annoy your neighbor. Nothing was said or done about that. I didn't hear about no confiscation of the goods. I didn't even hear.
The police did get involved.
But I didn't hear about no confiscation, number one. Number two, I didn't even hear, did they clear customs? How did they get into the Bahamas? Because those were military grade speakers. And how do you bring military grade speakers without having to go through either the defense force or some sort of law enforcement to see if these speakers, you know, because, I mean, come on, I mean, that's something that should have been done, and, you know, it's possible they could have been brought in illegally.
Right. Then there was another matter of his inability to dredge where his boat was, the boat basin, when the sand built up, because the neighbor complained that he was dredging illegally and all this type thing. And Peter Nygaard said, no, I'm not dredging, I'm just removing the sand to get, my boat is stuck, to get my boat out of this boat basin. Okay. And so that was a matter that went before the courts, and and then there were a number of contempt cases.
Yes.
So this has been dragging on and on and on for a long time. But the imposition of regular citizens to hand out information on our street corners on this man is really beyond the pale.
And I will tell you, to recruit Bahamians who are totally oblivious to the situation is, to me, a scream and a cry of desperation, because I personally, I would not want to hand out pamphlets and flyers for a product that I have not proven tested, because if I'm buying on a flyer and if you say to me, hey, what is this about? I want to be able to at least explain to you what it's about. Or, I mean, some people just take it and drive up, but what if someone was to say, hey, what is this about? How do they explain? Oh, I know, someone just paid me to do this. So, you know, my thing is, you have to, you know, it shows me that you got to be that desperate to just give any willy-nilly person who's just willing to make a couple of dollars just to hand out flyers to just kill somebody's character. I mean, how desperate can you get?
And this is desperation just to get your neighbor embarrassed, or to get your neighbor to leave his property, just to abandon the property.
But I'm not going to say I'm speaking 100% on behalf of Mr. Nygaard on that issue, but I'm going to tell you right now, I'm speaking on behalf of Mr. Nygaard on that issue. He ain't going nowhere. He love the Bahamas. He is not going anywhere. Okay, number one, he can't put that property and that building, he can't put that in no suitcase and take it with him. So that's there. Okay, it's his property, and I can tell you, he is not leaving. He's invested too much, he's done too much, and I think he is made up in his mind, well, I can live and die in this, because I'm not going anywhere no time soon.
And he's adopted the Bahamas as his home, and a whole lot of Bahamians
definitely, yes,
have fallen in love with what he is about, and they appreciate the level of assistance he's given over the years.
And he's got, and I think it's endless. I mean, right down to the Golden Girls. There were times when the government didn't have the finances to send them on the circuit. And you know, in order for you to qualify for the Olympics, you got to go on the circuit. There were many times that he just wrote checks for them so that Debbie could go, so that this one could go, so that one could go, so that the Bahamas could be represented. But no one really knows about it, because see, most people who give donations, they need a handshake and a photo op in the paper so the world can see what they did. He does things like a lot of persons do behind the scenes, because he don't want his name mentioned. He don't need that pomp and pageantry. He has a fashion design lid name all on his own, so he don't need that pomp and pageantry. That's from his heart, so he don't need the world to know what he's doing. But persons out there know who has benefited, that they have benefited from him in a gracious way.
So whether it's sloop racing in the Bahamas,
whatever it is,
volleyball,
if it's going to make the Bahamas, look good, if it's going to give us a good name, and he can help with it, he will help with it. He will not stench. He will not, he will not, be stingy with the money, because to him, when I die, I am not taking this with me anyhow.
So Peter Nygaard is a true nation builder to you.
He's a nation. I would call him an adopted son of the soil. He's not a native son, he's an adopted son.
Yes.
And I think when he came here originally, he was received with open arms and with warm welcome. And over the years, I think by letting his guard down a little bit, persons were able to take him for granted and also to ride on his generosity.
ClementChea, thank you so very much for being here today.
Pleasure.
And speaking as clearly as you have about your associate, your friend, Peter Nygaard. Thank you.
Anytime.
Thank you for watching and listening to our program. Good evening, everyone.